my skin so gorgeous. We thank the life gorgeous. Thank the life gorgeous. I love the life gorgeous. Its torso is so tight. Well. It's the Life Gorgeous Christmas Spectacular with Kyle Kringle, also known as Kyle Theige from the Dane Moore podcast. And where else do you appear? Somebody else's podcast. Are you on on Flagrant Howls?
Not as much anymore. I think I'm on this podcast more than almost anything now. So I might be your most recurring guest. So I appreciate that. When I got the text this morning, I was excited because I had things to say. But as you know, Dane has a lot of different guests. So I'm glad you're giving me a space. Appreciate you.
Well, the first thing we're going to do, because America likes this, we're going to get to know Kyle again. Let's get to know Kyle. Ladies and gentlemen, Kyle Theige. Today, Kyle Kringle is from North Dakota. If you say South Dakota, it doesn't really matter, but it's North Dakota. Grew up Minnesota sports fan, now lives in Portland.
That's correct.
And first thing I want to know is, how will a guy like you, who I think is Captain Positive, how will you celebrate Christmas? Walk me through it. Paint a picture of Kyle's Christmas this year.
It's just a lot of me and my wife, maybe our neighbors, but we used to go back. Now that we live on the West Coast, we used to try to get back and see our families. We're both from the same small town.
Yeah.
But every time, Craig, we fly back to the Midwest during the winter months, there's like 6 delayed flights. We're big Delta people.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. Just one delayed flight after another. So you just end up driving all around the state, finding interstates that aren't closed. So we try to get our families out here, but I'm a nerd, so I'm a big Harry Potter movie guy. So I'll just be watching a lot of those, a lot of Christmas movies. We have the tree up. My wife is 12/01, December 26th. That thing has to come down. So trying to enjoy it the last couple of days here, but Chinese food on Christmas, Christmas pajamas, low key, end 2025 on a good note, and then get excited for a new year.
I like that. Now, are you going to open the gifts, if there are gifts, if you still do that? Do you open them Christmas Eve or Christmas morning?
Big Christmas morning guy. Coffee, maybe a little biscotti, and then we open the gifts. I'm an only child, so
I can tell. I can tell.
There's going to be gifts, I think, until my parents are no longer with us. So yeah, we have a lot of gifts under the tree. I got to get some wrapping done still. That's like the worst. Unwrapping, best part. Wrapping, worst part.
Right.
So I've got some wrapping to do after this pod. But we're very excited. You're always, on a sincere note, grateful to still have people in your life and family and all those people. So yeah, it's going to be a good Christmas.
So we were going to go out of town and take the super van, but there is a 5-day rainstorm coming on Christmas Eve, or maybe tomorrow, actually, Tuesday, which is today, Tuesday, as we're airing this. So we're going to stay in the beautiful house, which I like. I'm going to cook. I'm going to cook some steaks and garlic mashed potatoes with some cheese, and then some kind of vegetables or a salad. And I want to watch some movies. We'll watch some Hitchcock movies, but on Christmas Day, tell me if this is right, Vikings and Wolves.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
The highs and lows, like I said, wrapping presents, worst part, unwrapping presents, best part. Timberwolves Nuggets on Christmas. That's going to be a great basketball game, great rivalry.
Yeah.
If you're not cooking those steaks, you might be playing quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings on Thursday. So we'll see who gets the nod at quarterback for the Vikings on Thursday. But yeah, I don't know the last time you've had both those teams on Christmas. I don't think it's ever happened, because the NFL now they just basically want to have 7 days a week football. So cool time for Minnesota sports fans to just kind of dodge away from their families and maybe go to the bathroom and maybe stream a little Vikings Lions second quarter.
Does the name Quinn Hughes mean anything to you?
Oh yeah. I was a hockey free agent. The head coach of the Seattle Kraken was best friends with my wife's family, and then he got let go a couple of years ago. So we were like, who do we cheer for now? So I think I might be back to being a Wild fan. And yes, I'm on the bandwagon, but the Minnesota Wild are nasty, and they made like a kind of like a Rudy Gobert trade from a Timberwolves perspective, but to get a younger, just awesome defensive player. So I'm all in on the Wild. All Minnesota sports teams have at least something interesting going on, whether they're good or they're bad.
It's an exciting time. We're going to get to both the Vikes and the Wolves in a second. That's it for the Wild chat right there.
I was talking hockey for 2025.
Just touching a little hair here that some of my friends will be bothered by, and we just gently touch that and see how it goes. And so I wanted to ask you this because I have an answer, but what over the years, Christmas, do you have a favorite gift that you got? Young Kyle.
Oh, that's a good question.
CCM Super Tax, the old ice skates, or maybe a mini bike, which of course I'm kidding. That's too extravagant. I wanted a mini bike at one point when I was young.
Did it have an engine or like a motor, or was it just like a mini bike?
The mini bike, when I was somewhere in elementary school, some of the kids had them. I'm sure it was elementary school, as a 5th or 6th grade. It could have been junior high. I doubt it. They had an engine. They were these little tiny, you know what they are? They're really small. They're like little tiny motorcycles, and they're called mini bikes. And they have an engine, and you zip around on them.
Okay.
Never got one. Not even close to getting one. But tell me your favorite gift, and I'm going to tell you mine because it's kind of silly.
At this age, the best gifts for me are just gift cards. But dating back, my wife made me a blanket. This sounds so sappy as I say this, but she made me a blanket, and it's a cool pattern, but it wasn't wide enough to be a normal blanket. So it's kind of like a hot dog bun shaped. So it really just wraps me up. There's no cuddling with this blanket. It is a one-person iPhone shaped blanket. So I still have that blanket to this day. It's on the bed. So I like homemade stuff. The thought that counts. It doesn't have to be, we don't need a lot of money spent on things. So that was thoughtful. I love thoughtful gifts. And I try to get those for my family too. But you sound like you have a good one. What was your favorite gift?
I think thank you. I do. I want to see your reaction, and you're free to make fun of me. I know you're one of the nicest humans in the world, but you can mock little Craigers. But Christmas was a big deal, and we opened it Christmas morning, and then we got old enough, of course, it was Christmas Eve, because it was hard to sleep Christmas night for young elementary school Craig, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th grade. And we always had a real tree. And we had a vintage train set that went around the tree on the track. It was a heavy track. It was a heavy train. And that was, I don't know where the folks got it, but it was great. Dad would make eggnog, and then adult eggnog, which has rum in it. I was not allowed to have that. And we would get excited, and I'm sure this is a different generation than you, when we would get the Sears Christmas catalog. You ever heard of it?
Absolutely. I know what you're talking about.
Okay. So we would thumb through that. The kids would thumb through that on the couch. And I went through a stage. So everyone knows I started playing basketball in 2nd grade, and I took to it quickly. But there was one year I got a couple magic books. I learned abracadabra, and voila. As a 3rd or 4th grader, I did some sleight of hand. Here it is. A ventriloquist doll.
Okay. We're friends, full transparency, a little creepy. They always spook me a little bit. Do you still have it?
It's in the garage.
Okay.
And people were like, my mom, before she passed, you can't throw it away. Princess Cherry says you can't throw it away. I had a friend want to borrow it for a comedy piece he was doing for Instagram. I let him do it. The name of the doll, the ventriloquist doll from Sears, was Danny O'Day. I renamed him Lenny Carr, Carr. Don't know why. I have no idea why. And now I'm going to tell you the routine. So I practiced talking like this without moving my lips.
Yeah.
And, the B's were hard, and you'd use a V, it's basketball. You'd say basketball.
Mm-hmm.
You'd say basketball instead of basketball. So your lips don't move. So I practiced this. And I'm just being vulnerable here. I was a precious little towhead, very innocent. I was going to do a joke about something about women, but I'm not going to. So here's the routine quickly. Ready? It's very brief, but it turns out it's a famous joke. and Woody Allen used it at the end of Annie Hall. He just referenced it as an old joke, but I didn't know. But my ventriloquist book said, here's a routine the beginners can do. So I say to Lenny, Lenny, you look sad. What's going on? Yeah, it's my uncle. He thinks he's a chicken. Thinks he's a chicken? Wow. Well, why don't you take him to the hospital? We would, but we need the eggs. Okay, so feel free to make fun of me, Kyle. I'm sorry that you had to hear all that.
Okay. When you said it again, I'm like, now I'm being transparent and vulnerable. I'm anti-doll, like dolls and just stuff like my grandma had a bunch growing up, and it was, I think like these Ukrainian things and stuff, and I was very scared of them. So I was spooked when you said that, but I was also like, man, I hope Craig like went through with it and like at least did the ventriloquist for dummies. So you sound like you had a little skill. Like
I practiced it. I practiced it. I got a guitar in 5th grade and learned 3 chords, and that's it. I didn't have the discipline like my other family members playing the piano. Mm-hmm. My mom taught piano. My dad played piano by ear. My brother took at least 3 years of piano. I didn't do it. Didn't work on the guitar, but I practiced it. But here's the interesting thing to me is I got the ventriloquist doll, and the teacher knew it. And she said, I hope you're going to do it in the talent show. And this is in 4th grade. And there's a part of me that I realize that I'm a little reserved, and I didn't do it in the talent show. Thank God I was able to later do television, even though I'm reserved, because I didn't want to do it in the talent show. I don't know why. Kind of weird.
Do you regret that now?
No, I don't regret it. I don't regret it. I think I'm actually happy I didn't do it. I remember that the All-State basketball player, you should have seen him in 4th grade. He did a ventriloquist.
I was going to say, between the All-State basketball and the few chords on guitar, like you must have been a delight for the ladies back in the day. But the ventriloquist might have neutered some of that. I will say you've probably got a good, you're in your late 30s, so you probably got a good 40, 50 more years. But I would like to submit my request that when it's all said and done, I would like to take the ventriloquist doll from you, put it on my bookshelf, and I will learn how to do it. You had some skill there still, even all these years later, but thanks for being vulnerable, because that's
what would you do if you heard that Jim Pete or Chris Finch in 4th grade had a ventriloquist doll?
I'm gonna text Jim right after this, make, hey, any chance you have a ventriloquist doll, and see what he says. Chris Finch would definitely not be able to do ventriloquism because he uses his mouth wide open and he lets you know what he's saying. And not to pivot to the Timberwolves, because again, maybe this is just a therapy session for the two of us, but I knew exactly what Chris Finch was saying on Friday night through my TV, because
his lips were moving. They were not. We are getting to the Wolves, but we're going to get to the Vikes first. So thank you for some Christmas memories from you. And now let's go to the Vikes. We're recording this on Monday. I have not seen an update yet on JJ's hand, his throwing hand, if he's going to play yet. Could happen while we're recording. First question. So our friend Judd Zolgad said a few weeks ago, as we were going through that losing streak, this is the worst season in 15 years since 2010 for the Vikings. And of course, we don't have a lot of bad seasons. That's our issue. We never go 3-12 or 3-15 or 14. And then we'd get a high draft pick, but we have 7 wins and we might get one more. You don't know. And that's not terrible. 7 wins is not terrible. What's your attitude? Everyone, it's just a real conundrum for the franchise is JJ McCarthy. What do you do with him? Is he the starter next year?
You said this at the top and you say this all the time. I do try to bring optimism to my sports. And with this one, it is the hardest, biggest rock I've ever tried to push uphill. Because the worst thing you can do, whether it be the NBA or the NFL, is you don't want to be in the middle. You don't want to be just a mediocre 500 because it hurts in the NBA. It hurts your ability to have a high draft pick. And in the NFL, as not only Judd reminds me, but our friend Declan, if you're finished worst in your little division, you also get to have an easier schedule the following year. So the Vikings, if they were to make everyone's Christmas magical and win against the Lions, I think it secures that they wouldn't finish 4th in the NFC North.
Correct. I saw that schedule. It's quite a different schedule, 3rd and 4th in the division.
And so
next year.
that's just looking ahead.
Yeah.
Additionally, like you've won 3 in a row, and you don't want to say meaningless games because the NFL, you're putting your body on the line every week. But in the grand schemes of things, it is meaningless because you're falling down the draft order as well. So the Vikings do kind of find themselves in like the worst spot right now because they keep winning games right now that'll hurt their draft stock and their schedule. But you also don't know if the quarterback is the guy. And I thought even against the Giants on Sunday, McCarthy made a great throw to Jordan Addison. It's like, you got to catch that.
Unreal.
For some reason, his wide receivers, I mean, Justin Jefferson, I still think is the best in the league, but he's had drop issues. Addison's had drop issues. Like, if all the wide receivers have drop issues, Craig, makes you think, like, is the quarterback throwing a little too hard? Like 2 weeks ago, when Jefferson slants to the back of the end zone, McCarthy throws a 900-mile-an-hour fastball, and it's like, maybe you could put some touch on that. And I say all of that to then say every other week McCarthy leaves the game with an injury.
Yeah.
He doesn't really protect himself. He slides head first. He likes to take on contact despite being about my size. So I think they're in a conundrum. I really do. I would imagine McCarthy's back next year. That's part of the rookie quarterback contract scheme.
Right.
But I don't know if everyone else in that building will be back. I would imagine the ownership group is like, we got to make some changes, whether that be in the front office or whatever, or bring in another quarterback to have a little more pressure on McCarthy if things don't go well. But it's a tough spot right now. They have a lot of good talent, but they've also missed on a lot of draft picks. And at some point, in the NFL, more than anything, the draft is how you build a team, and then free agency is how you kind of sprinkle the seasoning on. We still need that. The Vikings have used free agency to build their roster, and it's starting to, Ryan Kelly again, their center, had another concussion, and it's like, hey man, it might be time to hang it up. So it's a tough spot right now for the Minnesota Vikings.
So a number of thoughts. The draft picks have been, that's pressure on Kwesi, and if they replace him, I can understand because he's really missed on the draft picks. I don't know if I told you the last time you were on, or I've told somebody. I do think I'm not, when I get tired of somebody, I get tired of somebody. I'm not tired of JJ McCarthy. I think he has potential to the point of if we do move on from him, he will play well elsewhere. Mm-hmm. Not to the point of the Rich Gannon MVP as after he left the Vikings, but he'll play well. He has something. The injuries are bothersome. The flawed mechanics completely throw me off. Like, I'm not a quarterback guru. Did they know about the flawed mechanics when they drafted him? How do they not see this in the pro day? And he's got to work on it, but I think he will work on it. So I haven't given up on him. Is getting a Mac Jones, is that something where, Craig, if you get a Mac Jones, he's starting over JJ? Is that how that works or not?
I would imagine, right? I think the backups they've tried to bring in this year, right, like Carson Wentz being the most noteworthy, is we're not worried about him, putting a pressure or putting our young quarterback on a hot seat. Right. Mac Jones has shown now in limited opportunities for San Francisco this year, backing up Brock Purdy, but like, he's a dude. Like, he's ready to play. He's kind of on that Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield. Like, it didn't work out in his first spot. Learned a lot, got coached up, and now he's ready to kind of reintroduce himself to the league. So, but it makes sense, right? But then the converse is like, well, do you want to give up a pick to get him? But then it's like, well, do we even care about the picks? Because we've never really had good draft picks under Kwesi. Yeah. So it is a conundrum. But the McCarthy thing, you and I are, I think, at our core basketball guys, and you are the shot doctor in my mind. But I've learned more about the quarterback position this year watching McCarthy play. Because when he overthrows a guy on like a 15-yard slant or like an out route, it's because of his mechanics. It's like he's kicking his right leg up. It's like just things you don't see.
It's so weird
from the best of the best. So I know they kind of got away from, we're not worried about your mechanics, just play football and we'll try to coach you up in the offseason. But it is a concern. It's like, what did you see at the combine? What did you see in the college tape that was like, we can fix that? He had a year. Yes, he had a broken knee, or not a broken knee, but a torn ACL. So he wasn't able to be on the field. But it's year 2, and you got this guy because you wanted to have the rookie quarterback contract thing where he's cheap and everyone else can spend. And now you're going into year 3, and it's like, you don't really know if he's the answer. I'm with you, though. I'm not ready to get rid of him. I thought against the Giants before he got hurt, he had good throws. Like that the first interception he threw I thought it was a pretty good throw. It just bounced off.
I thought it was a little hard, and
okay.
it catches these guys by surprise, is what I think.
Okay.
But I should have been caught.
Yeah.
But I just think he sometimes has too much zip on it. Sometimes the placement's off. Maybe he throws it early. I don't know. We've used the word conundrum 3 times. I used it once and you used it twice. So we can use quandary.
Okay. That's a good
dilemma. I guess it's not a paradox. Puzzle, enigma. They're in a quandary. They have a dilemma. So we are not allowed to use that word, the conundrum anymore. Okay.
Okay.
Is that fair?
That's
because
fair.
the young people listen and they like the words, the vocabulary that we use on the Life Gorgeous. They like a lot of. They also like alliteration. Kyle Kringle. I'm recording this and I've already gotten messages. I don't know how they're doing that. So the other thing I wanted to say about quarterbacks, Nick Foles, backup, won a Super Bowl. As I want and you want, we all want our franchise quarterback. If you have a good team, if you have a good good quarterback room, maybe, it's hard to find that Drake May, Mac Jones and JJ next year could, be effective. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you. And again, I like watching Drake May. He's probably going to be the MVP this year 2, same draft class as McCarthy. He wasn't good in year 1. Like, same with Caleb Williams, who keeps winning all of these late game crazy performances. Like, he also wasn't good in year 1. Obviously, McCarthy didn't really have a year 1. So it's apples and hand grenades. But that's how you try to be optimistic about this, is like, this is his bad year 1. Like, let them get to the offseason. Let KOC, who, despite everyone's stock in this organization kind of being at weird spots, Kwesi, KOC, Justin Jefferson, I think I'm with KOC. I'm still pretty high on him as like a quarterback whisperer. But if at some point he's like, I don't know if I can make this work, then I think you have to empower him to be like, we got to make a switch. And that's when you go to a Mac Jones or something. Right. So I'm not out on McCarthy. The stock price has obviously Bitcoin-like levels of falling, but I think you and I are still investing. But you also have to make sure you bring in someone else this summer or this offseason to put pressure or to have him behind him, because this team still has, they have the best wide receiver, I think, in the league. They have a lot of good talent on the offensive line. Brian Flores, Craig, I watch football every week. They haven't allowed a passing touchdown in 6 weeks. Like, they're like 6th in DVOA, a little football nerd there. So they're a good team, but they're just not getting enough production from the most important position on the field.
I'm hoping, I have this as a question, is Brian Flores leaving? I hope not.
Yeah, I know he's a free agent in terms of coaching. I also know that I think his lawsuit against the league is still pending or active. So I don't know what team is dying to knock down the door to go bring him in, but he is one heck of a coach. And defensively, I don't even think the Vikings have a ton of talent on the defensive end. It's more guys, free agent guys, rather than guys that blue chippers that they homegrown. So he's taken, kind of a mosh pit of guys and turned them into an absolute unit defensively. So I would hate to see them lose him. But this team has a lot of question marks that are going to have to start being addressed within like the next 2 weeks after the season ends.
As long as we have Van Ginkel, we're fine. I think KOC has improved his play calling and shorter pass routes. He's learning. He's learning.
For sure.
And I was so happy for Justin Jefferson Sunday. When he catches that underneath, I said, we're not going to get a first down. And then he runs.
Such a crazy play.
Yeah, he's so good. And the catches, the tiptoes, he did a couple of them on the sideline. I was really happy for him. And I love that Max Brosmer pass to him. That was on 3rd and 17. That was, or whatever it was. That was tremendous. Right?
Yeah. And he has been in a league where the position is, everyone's just kind of known when you're the best at the wide receiver position, you're kind of a diva. And even yesterday, we saw some big time wide receivers throwing their hands up on the sidelines, or in DK Metcalf's case, even punching a fan. When Justin Jefferson, he's always been just a class act. And when he was frustrated the last couple of weeks, that's when it was kind of like alarm bells. And you can't lose him. Like, he is such a core part of this whole thing they're trying to do in the behind the scenes culture. And for him to be outwardly frustrated and not doing media, that's when I was like, oh my God. So glad to see him bounce back against the Giants, but he's in his prime right now. Like that position doesn't let you play well into your 30s. So he deserves to have someone who can get him the ball.
Yeah.
And yesterday you saw when he gets the ball, the 3rd and 15 thing you said, underneath route, like a 5-yard pass that he just finds a way to turn up field to get 16 yards on a 3rd and 15. That's a winner. Yeah. And this team needs to find more ways to help him win.
Brosmer, if we get Mac Jones and JJ, it's a real conundrum for the Vikings. I'm just kidding. What to do with Max Brosmer? Let us move to Wolves Pride. So I liked what Micah Nori said after the game against OKC. We match up well with them. Mm-hmm. There's something special about OKC. I don't understand how they can be physical on the perimeter and steal the ball, and other teams can't do the same. And I don't know how they could get away with the fouling. You weren't at the game, right? You were back on
I was watching it at home. Dane was there. We did a nice big podcast after, but he said that I mean, again, even if you're just as unbiased as possible, you're 50-50, the officiating in some of these games, especially that game to start, was so egregious. I mean,
it was terrible.
Ant, whatever you want to say, Ant driving to the rim, did he get fouled or not? But then the Julius one, I mean, there's a direct down court angle where Lou Dort just goes on his arms, no call.
Yeah.
And I think that's why, and Finchy said it the next day, talking to John Krasinski, he said it all weekend, like, enough was enough. He had to stand up for his guys. And I kind of want to throw this back to you because you are the most well-respected professional person I know, but do you like that? Because I was talking to Jim Pete Saturday morning, the great Jim Peterson, and he said that it was 100% a tactic that Finch used. He could have just gotten 1 technical foul rather than 2, but he knew that he had to play that card because if you don't, you lose your team and the players see that. So I don't think Finch wanted to lose $35,000 Friday night, but it was worth it for the team. And it was a huge win for the Timberwolves that hadn't really had one so far this season.
Right. So, number one, I don't know if he wanted to get thrown out. He said he didn't, but he wanted to get a technical. He ran on the court. If he wanted to get thrown out, that's fine. Whatever he did worked, and I love it.
Okay.
Couple thoughts I have. Now, is Jim Pete saying he wanted to get thrown out? Once he did the second time, then he did one. Once he went after the second time to get the second technical, then he said, I'm going to just go for it and get thrown out. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think what Jim was saying is that he probably didn't wake up Friday morning being like, I'm going to get tossed tonight against this team that does get an unfair whistle. But he got the first technical, walked back to the bench, and you can see the gears in his head.
That's
to think,
correct.
What? This isn't enough. I might have to go into the back and drink a beer. So he went back. And then when he started, again, not to use the ventriloquist doll, but he was mouthing what he really felt.
Right.
It seemed intentional, and it did, it didn't rile him up right away, but you can't watch that game and not think the Wolves played inspired basketball the final 3 quarters because of what their coach did for them.
Right. And Finchy, they all said, was in a bad mood after the loss at home and the film session. I had an idea. And I don't know, this is me. I talk a lot about leadership. I was saying, instead of the players, Ant says, I will pay Coach Finch's fine. Why can't the local media? Finch has been so good to you guys. Why can't Dane Moore and Kyle Theige and John Krasinski and Chris Hine, why can't you guys pitch in and pay that fine?
That's a great point.
Part of it.
We gotta do our part, right? Like, we gotta help Finch out. I'm gonna have to tell
Jim,
my wife,
Pete, Michael, Grady, they'll cover most of it. They can cover most of it.
I'm gonna have to sell that blanket that I cherish so much. So I've got about $6 that I can help.
Right.
No, I thought that was cool from Ant. I mean, I think leadership is something I always question with this team. I like to do my leadership power rankings, and I'm always wondering, like, who is at the top of that?
Right.
But after the game, you got to see Ant be like, he was so amped for Finch, and he was like, was that your first ejection? He's like, it's the second. Right. And then Finch was like, by the way, we won both those games. So just a cool moment for a team that I think needed to, kind of gel or galvanize themselves together in a moment. And what better moment than beating a team that prior to Friday was like on a historic pace to shatter the Warriors' 73 win record. So good win for the Timberwolves.
there was a tweet on X from a guy named Aaron Gleeman.
Yep.
And he said, what if Chris Finch is playing the long game by trying to get the league-wide narrative about Oklahoma City to the point where referees might overcompensate in the playoffs? I like that.
On X that night, X, the Twitter, not anything else. Chris Finch had like the highest Q rating that he's ever had around the league. I mean, there was other teams, people that cover the teams, coaches, players are all like, finally, someone is kind of standing up to this Thunder thing. And this wasn't a one-off. And that's why I do think Gleeman was onto something with the long game, because the Wolves obviously lost in 5 games in the Western Conference Finals last season. But in the one game they won, if you remember, Chris Finch went out of his way post-game to be like, he literally is like, OKC fouls all the time, and you also can't touch Shea. Right. And I don't know if he got fined for that too, but like, he does not like this team, their organization, the way they play. Like, that's very becoming more and more public, but things you hear privately. So I think he kind of was like, you know what? He's an old school guy, man. He's a basketball lifer. He doesn't really have like any kids or anything. He's cut his teeth in Europe, and he's done all the dirty work to get to this level to be a coach. And I think he saw some unethical basketball being played or officiated, and he was like, enough is enough. And we'll see what happens moving forward. But there were 28 other teams in the league that I think had Chris Finch's back on Friday. Totally agree.
In that game that we won, really, really impressive win. I'm very impressed with OKC because of Shea and the other guys. I mean, and Shea makes the big plays, and he makes the big plays. But in that particular game, Ant made the 3 big plays. A very difficult step back 3. Very good D. I didn't think it was a great shot, but that is his spot. He loves that spot. Then he made the help out block on Shea, and then he stripped Shea. Now, can we beat them in a 7-game series? Yeah, if we play if everyone, that means Jaden doesn't miss his first 6 shots. That means Rudy. And by the way, is Rudy Gobert playing extremely well? Because I thought at some point he's going to slow down because of his age. Is it just me, or are other people noticing he's really active, right?
Now I don't know what the advanced stats say. There's a chance he's playing his best basketball in a Minnesota Timberwolves jersey.
Okay.
And maybe the defense with age has slipped a little. It's still, when he's off the court, the Timberwolves defensive rating, all the stats, they're terrible. But with him on the court, I mean, he is such a positive anchor for what they do. Yeah. And even when he gets switched onto the perimeter, the stats will say like he's fine in isolation against a guard. So it's not like we want to get the big on us and we'll cook him. But it's the offensive stuff. I think he's averaging a career high like in assists. And again, maybe that's like 2. But when he gets the ball on the short roll or in the middle of the court now, he knows like 1-step dunk, or he can kick it to a corner and spray it out to Dante or whoever's space to shoot. So I do think it's always, the great Britt Robson always says that Rudy Gobert's mistakes are loud. And I think that's a good way to describe it. But I also think the positive things he does are kind of quiet. And without him and all the investment they put into him, I mean, he is such a winning player that elevates all other boats. Yeah. But he is playing at such a high level. And with the offense, the free throw stuff, I know bugs you and bugs me. He's shooting like 40% from the free throw line. But when he can catch the ball and facilitate to others or finish, that opens up the offense. And then the defense is, like I said, almost as good as it's ever been in Minnesota.
Yeah. You said at the top that you wanted to talk Wolves. I think it was referring to last night's game, that Wolves were down big at halftime, and then they came back and won. Are you? I thought, let down after the great OKC win. Any irritation right now with the Wolves there?
The Memphis loss last week against the team without John Morant or like 9 other players was such a bad loss because it was an easy schedule game. So for them then to bounce back and beat OKC was huge. I did kind of predict that they would maybe lose to the Bucks without Giannis, and it would feel like swallowing an ice scraper. But they did their best in the second half. 16-point deficit that they overcame. 18 points was the largest this season. So I'm still, Craig, very firmly in a win is a win, especially right now in the West, where a lot of teams are losing weird games. I think On Sunday night, the Rockets lost to the Kings.
Yep.
So there's like a clear top 6 right now in the West, and you're battling for, home court, and the playoffs are a ways away, but you want to chew up all these wins you can. So I didn't think the Bucks game was pretty. There was a couple things I didn't like, but at the end of the night, like, they have to find a way, Craig, and I don't know if you have any ideas on this, to come out a little sharper, because they come out so flat and they dig themselves a hole. And I'm worried that they think, well, that's fine, we can dig out of this hole over 48 minutes. But a win is a win. They're 19-10, entering, a pretty tough schedule now with the Knicks and the Nuggets and a couple other teams. So I still champion wins more than I worry about dissecting them. But there's some issues still that I think they need to get addressed and resolved. And hopefully over an 82-game season, you can figure that out.
Do you like, this is called a softball question.
Oh, I love those.
Do you like Dante DiVincenzo or love Dante DiVincenzo?
I might be on an island on this. I propose. Like, I love him so much because talking to someone in the front office, in 2025, building a roster isn't just about accumulating talent. You kind of have to fall into the second apron CBA. Like, how much does a player make matters just as much as what can they do on the court. And Dante's making less than the mid-level exception. He's making $11 million a year while simultaneously leading the team in net rating, in plus minus, like whatever kind of winning stat you want to say. When he's out there, they do good stuff. And yes, he's not really a point guard. He'll make some boneheaded turnovers, but I think he's also on like a 5-game streak of 4 or more threes. Yeah. They need that to give Julius space and to give Rudy a little more space and clearly give Ant space. So I don't know if Dante's my favorite player this season, but he just does so many little things to help them become 19-10. Right. And I'd be bummed if he wasn't on this team moving forward.
Ant made the big plays at the very end, clutch time at the last minute against OKC. Dante did it at Golden State.
Huge. Yep.
Huge. The 1-3 that tied it when we were down, I was like, oh my gosh. So he's a stud. My gut, this is the final question on the Christmas Spectacular. My gut says we still will make a big trade. That means a Kyrie Irving, Kobe White, some guard trade. They'll kick the tires on Giannis. I still say we make a big trade before the trade deadline. What does your gut say?
I think so too. Right. I do think their goal is to get Ant more help. I would imagine that's more backcourt help, just another person to, like the Bones Highland Renaissance has been wonderful, but I still think he's more of like a bench guard rather than like someone you start in a playoff series. Sunday night was Mike Conley returning from an injury, his best game of the season. But as we're learning with older players across all sports, 38 is 38 years old. So how much can you depend on him in the playoffs? I'm with you. I know it takes good players going out to get good players coming in. Dante's a good player on a good contract, so he would be, enticing to other teams. But I trust Tim Conley. He's always kind of found a way to dig out of these situations. But yeah, I do think, Craig, they need another one of those D'Angelo Russell from Mike Conley, Nickeil Alexander-Walker trades to try to help boost kind of this bench and give Ant more options out there in the clutch.
Is his name Doug Gillespie, or what's his name? The guy for the Suns.
Oh, I think Colin Gillespie for the Suns.
Colin Gillespie, yeah.
He's cool, yeah.
Now, they like him. I also have that information. Do you have a thought on him?
Yeah, he's awesome. I just, the thing I struggle with trades is like, a lot of people like you. I don't want to trade you. I don't know why the Suns would want to get rid of Colin Gillespie. Right. He's kind of the heart and soul of what they're trying to do now in Phoenix with their new coach. So I don't know if they're Giannis, like you said, they're going to kick the tires. Kyrie's a big name. I don't know if it's going to be a big name, but I do trust Tim Conley to go out there and find a deal, but it's probably going to come at the expense, right? Of, are you ready to cut ties with Rob Dillingham? Are you ready to cut ties with, I don't know, Naz Reid? Because you got to give someone to match salaries. And I think that's going to be the interesting part of, are you ready to get rid of someone to go get someone else?
When we make those trades that are going to be hard on you, curl up in your little blanket.
I will. Oh, absolutely. It's got dinosaurs on it.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. That was fun.
Absolutely. Merry Christmas to you and everyone listening, and enjoy family time and safe travels, and have a great holidays.
Thank you, sir. That's our show, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you next time And remember, young people, I'm proud of you.